The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.
We're so pleased to have award-winning country music singer and songwriter back on the show, Lee Newton. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Eric.
I feel like we've been working on this for months.
I know.
And we finally made it happen. And your new album, Homesick, that came out this last year, has been doing very well. And it's
Yes.
interesting, too. I want you to bring this up with me to where you went with a new producer on this album.
I did. Bill McDermott had produced the last 3 albums
Right.
of mine. But I wanted to challenge myself, and I had been talking very closely with Kent Wells and Dave Fowler
Right.
on producing this new album.
And Kent's done a little bit of work with Dolly Parton.
Maybe just a little bit. I think maybe
Kind
a
of
little bit
known.
of like 30 years work.
That's a good one to use.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I mean,
No.
And so it was just really an awesome experience getting to work with Kent. He really pushed me in the way that I really wanted and needed him to do. And really brought out like a lot more in me. Not that the other ones didn't, it's just that for this album, I just wanted to be challenged, and he did that. He, even like on some of the songs, I write them and I send him. He's like, let's go up a key, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, because I wanted to stay kind of in that safe zone. He's like, no, you got it, Lee.
And it's so interesting you bring that up too, because listening to the album, and I had so many favorite songs on here, just like Carolina Rain being one of those, to where, and also Homesick and Go to Church. I mean, a lot of great songs on here. But compared to your past albums, and you've been on the show before, and I've always enjoyed your music and your voice. But it seems to me this album, certainly autobiographical as some of yours have been, but it seems like you pushed yourself more.
I really did, and this one all my albums have meant so much to me. I mean, they're your babies. You start them from being in a little room writing your songs, and and seeing them come alive when you finally get to record them, and then you see what they do once they get put out to the public. But this one, especially with the first release off from it, which was Carolina Rain,
so strong,
which is still just everybody's still playing it all over the radio. It's still getting nominated for awards. I mean, the video has done just insanely incredible, amazing, and gotten played on several big networks, know. But Carolina Rain, I knew I'd heard that song a couple years ago. I did not write that song. This song was over 20 years old, and one of the guys who wrote it, there was 2 guys that wrote it. One guy wrote Indian Outlaw for Tim McGraw.
Yeah, that one did okay.
That one did kind of okay, I mean, I don't know if you remember that song or not.
I hope Tim's okay with it.
But the other guy who wrote it was Charlie Floyd, and he lives in South Carolina. So my husband had played it for me one day, and this is a couple years ago, and I couldn't stop crying. Like, it was one of those songs that just touched me to the core because it meant so much. With my dad passing away when I was little, and just the whole the home, being home, and
so also, I've got to bring this up, Lita, where as an independent artist, which some people may not realize, it's like to be able to do an album like this and do music videos and everything else, it's like, you're having to generate this. You don't have a label behind you.
No.
You have friends and supporters working with you to create these, and you're going back and forth from your home in Carolina to Nashville.
Here, yes, and then
which is not easy.
It's not, because plus you're paying, because you want a great product. You want to do it right when you do it, and Kent made that happen, and really worked with me. All of my followers have been just super amazing. I was able to put out to them about the sponsorship, and so they all helped me make this album. And so, because I really wasn't even sure how I was going to do it.
Totally.
But they did. So I put it out there, but all their names are on the inside of it.
How great is that?
So that lets them be a part of the album, of the whole making of it. So I would let them hear the songs as they were being made.
Through the process.
So they actually got, something to go along with being, sponsoring. But yeah, this album really is really went way over what the other ones did.
And I'll tell you, from listening to your past albums, and we'll talk about Crossroads in a minute, that came out in 2023. But with this one, I mean, so many of the cuts, All That's Left, Another Woman's Man, things like that, to where it's like, it's just a deep, it just the sound quality, and certainly, working with Kent, and the team. I think this is your best album to date, but also it was kind of a shift for you.
It was, and it was. I mean, I was questioning. I was like, "Are you sure, Kent?" Like, even on Carolina Rain, I had went in doing this song. Like I said, I had wanted to do it when I first heard it. It took me 2 years to get over crying when I was singing it, to actually record it and be able to do it. But the first time I got to play it live was in my hometown, of Canton, North Carolina. And I was like, okay, I'm putting this on my CD. It's got to be on the new CD. This one fits because, and then of course, with Homesick, that's another one. Homesick is the only cover on the album, but Homesick is an old Atlanta rhythm section song.
Which I love.
I do too, and I love this album. I've got a little bit of the Southern rock. I love the blues.
Well, and you can't help that though either, Lee, because especially with your time with Artemis Pyle.
Yes, and Leslie and JoJo.
Right, it's like, you've got the credentials to where it's okay for you to do that.
Yeah, because, several years ago, we won't say how many, but I was able to, sing, do 2 shows with 3 original members of Skinner. So that,
which is incredible.
It was moments I will never forget.
And that has to seep into your music, though, with your influences.
It does, because I love Southern rock. I love all the Southern rock, and I told my husband, I'm like, I said, I really want to cover on this one a Southern rock classic, but it can't be overly done. It can't be something that everybody has done. I want something that sticks with me. And we were actually driving to Nashville that night, and he played Homesick, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. Yes, that's the song I want to do. And Travis Tritt actually recorded that song as well. There's not been another woman. Kent told me, he's like, I don't think there's been another woman do this song.
Well, you've got another tie to Travis on this also, with his guitarist playing on it.
Yeah, Wendell Cox. And Wendell actually played with me at the Opry last year when I won the Artist of the Year for Traditional Country at the JMA Awards.
Yeah, at the Josie Awards. Well, and also I got to bring this up too. Cash, your son, won an award too.
He did, for Carolina Rain video.
For the video.
Yeah,
he just wasn't able to be there because he had to be at home and go to school the next day.
He did, and plus I had opened for Sarah Evans the Friday before that. So we were in Georgia, and so that would have made it 2 days he would have had to miss if he had went with, because he goes with me on a lot of the shows. I mean, he's been with me when I opened for Randy Travis. He's been around, Marty Rabin from the Shenandoah. I mean, all these people that I've been around or associated with in the studio. Cash is right there. I think people recognize him more than they do me.
He's going to have like his own social media pages and everything. Yeah, especially after the music video.
Cashanova. I mean, people, they just, and when we got back home and to be able to give him that award, he was running all over that yard, so excited.
That's amazing. Well, it was so neat seeing you and Dale at the Josie Awards also this past year. Winning awards again, and certainly your second award and Cash's first. But, we were talking about your previous albums and Crossroads. You had a number of big name talent joining you, including our mutual friend, Joe Bonsall. Yes.
Crossroads came out right after, I was actually making it when we done the last interview together.
Right.
And that album, again, God just put it all together, because I did not know how I was going to do that album, but I knew I had to do a gospel album, and I started reaching out to certain artists. One being Joe Bonsall with the Oak Ridge Boys, and I already had been around William Lee, and I love William Lee, and they are just, the Oak Ridge Boys have always been very supportive of me and always shared my stuff. And when I reached out to Joe, I was like, okay, there's this little voice telling me to do it, but then I'm like, oh gosh, he's probably not even going to write me back. And sure enough, he did. And he's like, well, Lee, I would be honored to do this with you. Let me see the schedule, and we'll make it happen and stuff. And he promised me. And he kept his promise. He came down to the studio. This was when he was still driving. And he came down to the studio at Omni Studios down here in Nashville. And Cash was in there, my husband was in there, and he made it so special for me. He said, okay, Lee, we need to arrange it to where you really shine and your voice, you know, we're going to, and he did. Yeah. He was probably one of, there's a few of them, Marty Raven, T. Graham Brown, all them, but there's he's the only one that really truly made me feel like I was a somebody. Even though he's been with the Oak Ridge Boys for 50 years and all these gold and platinum albums and awards, he never made me feel like I was just a little...
Just amazing that you had him on that album, and then obviously we lost him last year, but you know, you got a lot of good things coming up this year, to where you're going to be out on the road, you know, with Gene Watson.
Yes, I am so excited. I mean, this has been like a dream of mine to get to open for him. I've opened for some amazing people. I mean, I've just named a few of them.
And you just came off of opening for Sarah Evans this past year.
Yes, and that was in Georgia as well, which was super amazing. I mean, I've had the opportunity to work with other women, like, you know, and Lori Morgan was on the same festival as I was on. I've worked with Rhonda Vincent, you know, Rhonda. But getting to open for Sarah Evans, that was really awesome.
Totally.
So yeah, that was in Hiawassee, Georgia.
Wow.
So it was really awesome there.
And I know you're already working on new music and everything also to come out possibly this year.
Yes.
And you know, it seems like you just keep garnering more awards. And obviously, a lot of the traditional country artists are supportive of you.
Oh, yes.
As well. It seems like it's a matter of time before you're going to be, you know, certainly you've been on the Opry stage to get awards at the Josies, but it seems like at a point you're going to be, you know, you get to sing in the circle.
I know, and you know that was a big, huge thing, because like I've told you in the past, you know, our last interview. You know, it was my daddy's dream. He died when I was 11, and he named me Brenda Lee. And there is I will be getting to meet her soon. It's in the works.
How incredible!
I'm so happy. But I was named after her. My daddy always said, Brenda Lee, you're going to be on the stage of that Opry, and I'm going to be in the front row. Well, you know, not long after that interview, last October, I was able to stand in that circle and sing my song Carolina, which is a tribute to my mom and dad in North Carolina.
Right.
And so and it was so sweet, because Matt and all of them at the Opry, they put my daddy's cab driver's hat standing next to me on a mic stand. And I got to sing that song and stand in that circle, and me and my husband had seats in the front row, so my seat was empty.
Oh.
So I just kept, you know, in that last line it says, tonight I'm on this Opry stage. I can almost see my daddy's face, proud of his girl from Carolina. And it was all I could do to not choke up, but that was the moment that I had been waiting for since I was a little girl. And I love that it did happen that way, to where I got to, because he said the Opry stage, and this, you know, it is the Opry stage. It was for the Josie Music Awards. But one day I will be on the Grand Ole Opry show. I feel it. I know it. That you know, I know if I bug people enough, one of those members are going to.
Well, I think
to
though also,
me.
and you and I have talked, Lee, you know, when you and I first started connecting with your music and everything else, it comes down to the quality of the music. And I think, you know, your music is worthy of that attention, and certainly with this latest album, Homesick, getting so much attention and being added to playlists and everything else, it seems like you keep upping your game, you know, and with the music, with the songs, with the choices that fit you. And I think sometimes we have to be pushed, just like Kent did you.
We do. We have to, and we have to keep pushing ourselves. You know, I don't ever want to go away from my roots and how I grew up and how I love to write and being who I am, because I am just that cab driver's daughter from Carolina. I am. I will always be that.
Which is honest.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the way my daddy raised me. You know, I mean, we've talked before. I mean, I was raised, you know, kind of. Everybody has their story, and I was raised poor. I mean, there was a lot of times where we didn't have stuff in the refrigerator. You know, but God has blessed me through all these years, and He brought me to this point. I was not ready back then, and the Skinner days, getting to go out and gigging and playing, and you know, I've been in the bars playing to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and carrying in equipment and eating at Waffle Houses at 5 o'clock. You know, I mean, I have lived all those years of playing all those shows, but it's brought me to where I am now, to where I've lived experiences. I've went through heartache. I've had my heart broke. I've had happiness. I've had, all that to be able to write my songs. And I think that that's so relatable with so many people is because I do write from my heart. And that's, to me, that's what country music is, or any music that makes you feel good. I mean, and it's...
But also being able to share of yourself with the honesty, and I think, with your past albums, and just like we were talking about with Crossroads and everything, but especially with this Homesick album, I think you've really, you've upped it. You've taken it to another level, which is what we all have to do.
Yeah.
And to be able to cut through in this environment with music, particularly country music.
Yes.
Takes a little more work and a little more effort.
It does. And like I said, I mean, the songs that are on Homesick, I'm so proud of them.
I don't blame you.
I'm very proud of the production. I'm proud of just everything. I mean, even the artwork on the front.
Right. We were talking about the photo.
So the car that's on there actually belonged to Merle Haggard. This picture was taken this past summer in Bakersfield, California.
Right.
So that's where Merle is from, and so, but that I was sitting on Merle's car, and then of course little Ricky, the dog, just happened to walk up. That was not supposed to be an album cover.
You can't plan those things.
You can't, but Ricky walked up, and she was just looking up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, because it's all about home, and
But also
Homesick.
capturing those moments. It's just like a great song. Or anything like that, to where when you capture those moments in time, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
And it looks like the image of the album cover was staged.
Yeah,
it's like,
I know.
okay, send in the dog. It's like, oh no, the dog just showed up.
The dog was right there and just like looked up and was just so sweet. I'm like, okay. I was like, yep, that's the album cover.
That's
and
incredible.
I had no clue what the album cover was.
Well, I think it's so
gonna
great
be.
too with the other images and everything. Also, like you said, with mentioning all the people, all the sponsors that joined you on this.
Yes.
On this journey that continue to be
They
a part
do.
of your journey.
I have some most amazing, and I never call them fans because I just always feel like that puts people beneath you, and they're always my friends or my followers, but they have just really went along this journey with me, and they get excited over my successes and all the little milestones that I get to. They're like right in behind me, and and they try to help me get to. Just like the whole Brenda Lee, just getting to meet her.
Oh my gosh.
They had somebody send me a message. They're like, okay, well, I found somebody that's akin to somebody, and they're going to help you get
It's
there.
all those, I always call it the third door, because everybody's trying to go in the front door and the back door.
No.
Sometimes you got to go in the side door or the window.
Yeah.
And if that's what it takes with Brenda Lee. And you look at all the other artists you've worked with, though, Lee, to where it's been incredible.
It's been insane.
I mean, huge.
Yeah.
When, with Joe, with T. Graham Brown,
Pam Tillis, Leona Williams,
Rhonda Vincent. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, Deborah Allen, Tony Jackson. I mean, the list has been just incredible.
And it seems like it's just you keep making progress every year and with every new album. And it's like, I got to hand it to you. And I was thinking too, before with all the awards you've won in the past years, it seems like now you're going to have a cabinet for Cash's awards. It seems like maybe a separate little cabinet. Just for him.
He is a little entrepreneur too. I mean, like he is already talking about his merchandise. He's wanting plushes. He has his little Cashcraft TV.
I may have to have Cash start working for me. Once he gets, he's of age.
Okay.
Teenager. We need to talk.
I will bring him to you.
Because the show can use a push. But I want to make sure for all of the viewers and everybody with your website, because I know the CD is available, and for all of your upcoming shows, for the merch, for the Cash merch, not talking about Cash merch, but Cash the Sun merch. Where do our viewers need to go, Lee?
Yeah, they just go to my website. It's LeeNewtonOfficial.com. And I'm on all socials. I'm TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, on all of them. There's so many of them. There's even probably some that I don't even know that's out there now. I can't keep up with them.
And also for Cash, but I want to mention too that however you consume music, whether you listen to it digital, be sure and add Lee's new album to your playlist, Homesick. Add all of the songs. You're going to love them as much as I do. Be on the watch for new songs coming out this year, and also a lot more tours besides with Gene Watson. So who knows what's going to happen? This could be the year of Lee Newton.
That's what I'm speaking into existence right now. And Grand Ole Opry, here I come.
That's right. Well, Lee, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank
Congrats
you.
on an amazing album.
Thank you so much, Eric.
The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.